What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We got CHGO Bulls pregame coming up for y'all right around the corner. Bulls back at home taking on the Miami Heat tonight. Sans Jimmy Butler, still a Miami Heat, but serving that suspension. Meanwhile, this is the Bulls' first game since the departure of Zach LaVine and the trade with Sacramento Kings. We're talking about all that and more next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls pregame Tuesday, front end of a back-to-back. Bulls at home taking on the Miami Heat as we are how many hours removed from the NBA's in-season trade deadline? Getting exciting. Still plenty of news, reports, rumors swirling around as we get ready for tip-off tonight. Obviously, first game without Zach LaVine since the trade with the Kings went down after their game with the Pistons on Sunday evening. So let's start there, gentlemen. How now that we've had a little bit more time to process, how are we feeling about this being the dawn of a new era, essentially the post-Zach LaVine era in Bulls basketball?
I'll make mine quick because I want to hear what Will has to say. I accepted it kind of when it happened. I've come to grips with it, come to terms with it. They needed to make a deal. They made a deal. I didn't expect to win the deal, but I expected, as I said yesterday, just to walk away. Not walk away happy, but just to walk away. And I feel like that's what the Bulls did. They set themselves up to make future trades with what they got back. They got back their pick, which is crazy. They had to trade for it in the first place, but they got back their pick. That gives them a little more leverage that way too. I'm going to miss Zach LaVine a lot. He's awesome on and off the floor. But I feel that they just had to do something. They could not go past the trade deadline with Zach still on the team.
I agree. So let me start to go through a couple things. We did the emergency pod with the evening that Zach was traded. I didn't really get to talk about it a lot, but because I know you guys kicked me to the curb for Mark Stein.
That was Katie.
Don't pass the buck, Dave. Okay.
Okay.
But let me say this. I'm going to say a couple things, so I'll try to make this as quick as possible. One, I want to say thank you to Zach LaVine for his 8 years here in Chicago.
Yeah.
I was excited when they made the trade to bring him here. I loved watching him play. I can't thank him enough for playing injured, knowing that, he didn't have to, but because, he wanted to put this team in the best position possible. And he also knew how important he was to this team to go out there and play hurt. And I'll never forget that. I also know that, from the day that he became an all-star, I've also been very hard on him because my expectations for him were higher than he had for himself. Because when I would go and watch him practice and when I would watch him play and I'd see those moments of, quite honestly, brilliance. I'm not just talking about athleticism and the ability to do things that others just can't, but just, things that I looked at now. If he can consistently do that, and then what I saw in the Olympics on how he played defense and, like I share with my son, at times you tell on yourself of what you're actually capable of. But that also, as we know, to be a two-way player like that doesn't just take a lot of energy. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes sacrifice, and it takes, the willingness to really want to do that. But I also understand how that could be a little difficult. And when I say difficult, the lack of want to when you're playing for a team that's not really winning. That can affect your mindset. So I'm kind of excited to see what he does when he gets to Sacramento. I feel like, and I hope that Zach sees this trade as a slap in the face to him, because I look at, to me, when I'm thinking of the Sacramento Kings, I'm like, okay, to me, from a talent level, this seems like a lateral move for them. Because, don't get me wrong, I love De'Aaron Fox, but for some reason his reputation and his credibility is a lot higher than Zach's.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that has to be because Zach was with Minnesota and Zach was with the Chicago Bulls. But if you just had the ability like we did to watch Zach every single night and see what he did this year and the sacrifices he made to play the right way, to do what Billy wanted, that takes a lot, especially after him and his agent he never said, I want to be traded, but he said, I'm open to being traded.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we can all talk about how good an individual player is, okay? But until they really do something impactful that really not just affects a fan base, but an organization, and most notably win consistently, you're never going to be given the true credit that you deserve. Just think, as good as Tatum and Brown are for Boston, how much did their credibility and their rating go up? And I'm not talking about on 2K. I'm just talking about in the eyes of not only fans, but basketball junkies, because they won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendously.
Right? And unfortunately, I think Zach eventually realized, if I want to try to get anywhere close to those guys, or if I want to advance past the thought of, well, he's an all-star, multi-time all-star, he needed to go elsewhere. So I'm excited to see what he can do in Sacramento, right? Because he's playing with another established center, which he did here.
He did.
The question is, how again, we're back. It's amazing how sometimes things go full circle. How did him and DeMar exist, right? Because at times they existed well here, but that was very infrequently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they clashed more than they coexisted. So I'm curious to see how that all works out for him. As far as the Bulls situation, that's what I mean about, I hope Zach sees this as a slap on the face, because I just saw how much Sacramento got out of this deal for ultimately De'Aaron Fox.
Right.
Compared to what the Bulls got for Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the haul you get when you are the team that is theoretically giving up the best player in the trade, which the eyes of the NBA writ large see De'Aaron Fox as in the pieces that were involved.
But that's, Zach. To me, the difference between perception and reality. Is he really that much better than Zach?
Well, no, and our guy Matt George, who covers the Kings for ABC and hosts the Locked On Kings pod, we had him on yesterday's show. He was pointing out that Zach LaVine, efficiency-wise, is having a much better season than De'Aaron Fox.
Exactly.
But I guess it's not just about this season. It's about, the body of work as a whole.
Sure.
But, right now, this season, I think he said De'Aaron Fox is averaging a little bit more than Zach points per game-wise, but doing so way less efficiently. You can make the argument that right now Zach's better.
Right. Yeah. But to kind of finish up my thought, this to me now puts a lot of pressure on Arturas and Mark.
Oh, boy.
Okay, because...
Is there pressure if the people who control the fate of you having a job or not don't care?
Ooh.
maybe outside pressure.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah. That's what the bat's for.
I'm obviously inferring these things, but...
That's what the bat's for.
All right, we finally have an answer.
Yeah.
The Bulls picked a lane.
Yeah.
And now we know why Dave's carrying around a bat.
It's just hey,
if you try to go to the game and you carry that with you, or you like, this is just, it's my comfort animal.
Yeah. Well, I'm walking in with you anyway, so it's all good.
But I just think that it's like, okay, number one, you've picked a lane.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they started the season using the word reshaping. Remember, we kind of made fun of that, but that's kind of
deservedly so.
Yes.
That's kind of what we feel like Arturas and Mark were doing. They were trying to reshape, but yet stay competitive. Unfortunately, that's very, very, very difficult to do.
That's crazy.
And
some might say impossible.
Yeah.
Right. But who's to say people don't like that challenge?
Yeah.
But I think they realized how difficult it was. They realized it's not working. We need to do something. So then they basically downshifted and said, we have to overhaul this engine. And it seems like that's what they're doing. We all fully expect, according to everybody that I've talked to, specifically Joe Cowley, Casey Johnson, who are, on the beat every single day, seem to think that the Bulls are not done.
Yeah, looks that way.
The question is, the most important thing was, listen, I'll give the Bulls credit for you had to get Zach off the books, okay, to give yourself some flexibility in the future. We all thought that maybe you'd get more than what you got, but then we were also asking the same question after the Alex Caruso trade.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, where do we end up at 3 o'clock Eastern on Thursday? We basically have less than 48 hours.
That's right. Looking at you. Just saying. And to your point about Zach and DeMar, because I was on Matt's podcast today for Locked On Kings. And definitely. And I said this to him about them playing together. They're lucky right now because they're getting the best version of Zach LaVine ever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They're getting the version that we wanted him to become years ago, but injuries, things around him, all that stuff, mental things, all that, whatever it was, it happened this year. So I feel like he is better prepared and better suited to be with a guy like DeMar. So he knows the ins and outs of the game right now as far as the basketball IQ is concerned, when to, be off ball, when to rotate, when to pass, when to rebound. I think it's a better Zach LaVine to be matched with a guy like DeMar right now.
And I think that Zach begrudgingly, I was about to say accepted, but he didn't accept it, but he begrudgingly said, okay, for the betterment of the team. I know that Billy prefers to put the ball in the hands of DeMar in late game situations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, does Doug Christie feel the same? Because Doug Christie was very complimentary of Zach when they played here.
Yeah, he was.
And Zach and Doug have a history. I'm not 100% sure what it is.
Okay.
But how does Doug Christie now, who's coaching the team, regardless of what management thinks, what does Doug Christie, how does he look at Zach and what he thinks Zach can do? And maybe that's different in DeMar and Zach flip roles as to what was going on here, because that was the whole interesting dynamic to me. The best player closer was DeMar, but the face of the franchise was Zach.
Right.
That's usually you don't see that. Usually that's all the same person.
Yes, correct.
So it was interesting.
We are doing pregame here. CHGO Bulls, 4-time champ Uncle Will Perdue in the building. Big Dave, Peck. Just a quick note, we are pre-recording tonight's pregame due to some scheduling stuff. So it is currently 5:37 p.m. Central Time, whereas you will start seeing this at 6:30. Good news, no trades have happened since we started recording. Hopefully, I would assume with the Bulls playing in 90 minutes time, we probably won't see a trade go down leading up to or during the game, especially if some of the players the Bulls are looking to trade might be ones who would be in Billy's rotation tonight. But so before we move off of the Zach LaVine stuff and shift to tonight, just wanted to acknowledge the post that Zach made across his social on Instagram, on Twitter today, because I thought it was a really classy move. In case you missed it, he talked about putting into words or trying to what the city of Chicago, the Bulls have meant to him. He said the fans here are unlike any other. You made playing in Chicago a true honor, and I'll always be grateful for your support. Thanking his teammates, his coaches, the Bulls staff, and then talked about exciting for the new chapter in Sacramento, but always carrying the love and appreciation from Chicago with him. Thank you for everything. Let's keep pushing forward. And now he's a hashtag like the beam guy now. That was really weird to see at the end of his post. But they love that beam over there in Sacramento. But and look, so I saw a mixture from Bulls fans on social media today responding to that post from Zach, responding to our stuff about Zach. And I would say it was largely positive. Obviously you're going to have the haters who even, in Zach LaVine departing to the next chapter of his career, the next team of his career, take that as an opportunity to say, he's a bum, he never won anything, like, blah, blah, he overpaid, not a max player. It's like, read the room, or don't. Continue being an asshole if that gives you joy. But personally, look, did I have my, not issues with, but just like awareness of the flaws of Zach LaVine's basketball game as an NBA player being paid a lot to play at the highest level? Of course. But 8 years of very trying times, and I do not think the bulk of the responsibility of why they were trying times for this franchise fell on Zach LaVine's shoulders. So you have to thank him for what he did for this team and its fans and wish him the best.
The only thing I'm going to say is in regards to that, I think you're 100% right, Matt. It's just, unfortunately for Zach, the timing was bad because the organization, when I say the organization, meaning whether it was his teammates, the quality of his teammates, the head coach, the coaching staff, the front office, none of that was in line ever once during his 8-year tenure.
Yeah.
There was always something going on that he did not have control of that affected the quality of this team, which unfortunately, caused a lot of people, Bulls fans and not, right, to bring a lot of undeserved heat down on Zach.
Yeah. I mean, the dude in 416 career games as a Chicago Bull made 2 All-Star teams, averaged just over 24 points per game on shooting splits of 47.5, 39, 83.5.
I think that's
nearly
good.
5 boards and 5 assists per game.
Not bad.
Like, how can you turn your nose up at that and not be appreciative of that?
Easy, because you're not a winning player, man. One person will, and I'm writing about this, and one person who, it's wild how similar their careers were for me here in Chicago is Reggie Theus.
I was just getting ready to say Reggie Theus.
That's
right?
exactly who I look at. Both 2-time All-Stars. Both of those guys leading the Bulls during like really dark times when they weren't winning anything. Both of them had only one winning season when they were here in Chicago. And when those guys left and went to their other teams, what teams did they go to? The Sacramento Kings. So it was very similar in how.
Does that mean Zach's going to coach them someday?
I mean, I hope so. I hope that's the case. Maybe he gets a TV show on NBC as well. Who knows? But it's very similar, and I'm just highlighting that to show sometimes you can be the best player on the team, and it's just still not going right because you're just a losing team. And people won't look at you the same because of that reason. But it doesn't mean that you're not an incredible basketball player and really good at what you do on the floor. And Zach is really, truly good at what he does, and I think he's going to showcase when he gets to Sacramento. Go ahead, Katie.
I think it's so hard to comprehend how little help Zach had here until you physically look at the teammates that he's had during his time in Chicago. Like, I was looking for photos of him today for various, social media posts, and I saw a picture of him next to Thomas Satoransky.
Whoa, Sato.
Like, that is who the Bulls surrounded him with. And how can you not love
that dude?
how can you not love Zach for going out there and doing everything that he could with literal, I don't want to say crap, but crap around
I'll
him.
say it. Crap.
Yeah.
Trash.
Hey, we
Hottest of trash.
we know because we watched every single one of those
Every
games.
single one of those games.
All right,
saw
so shifting gears to tonight's action, and again, we are pre-recording,
Sampsons.
so won't know starting lineups by the time we wrap up pregame. But just to quickly hit on injuries / Jimmy Butler out, suspension. Duncan Robinson is likely to go, dealing with a hip. Richardson and Drew Smith remain out. Drew Smith, season-ending Achilles surgery. For the Bulls, meanwhile, they will be shorthanded, not only in the departure of Zach LaVine and the 3 players arriving not being suited up yet tonight. Casey had some reporting on that via Billy Donovan, who said the plan is for those 3 players to join them in their 1-game trip over to Minnesota tomorrow night. They will not play. They will travel with the team. If all 3 are on the roster still as of Thursday night, then they will play Saturday against the Warriors.
Yeah.
That is reporting from Casey via Billy Donovan. So, but that means tonight, Talen Horton-Tucker out dealing with a leg injury. Dalen Terry is currently doubtful, about 90 minutes, less than 90 minutes before tip-off. Jalen Smith, questionable, still dealing with the illness. And if you're thinking, well, Bulls front court, a little shy, maybe they'll call some of the two-way guys up. I did see a report, I think, that some of them were at this morning's shoot-around,
Yes,
but Adama
also
Sanogo is out
Liddell's in?
dealing with a knee injury.
Is Liddell?
They said Liddell and E.J. Liddell, and who's the other one?
Who's the other one? Their other two-way guy. I'm blanking on his name
Sanogo?
right now. No. But yeah, I'm guessing we're probably going to see some E.J. Liddell tonight, Dave.
I'm good. I
Which
mean, that's great.
You've been looking forward to.
I have.
So have I.
So
Big fan.
there's that. But, so the Heat, obviously don't have Jimmy, but they got Tyler Herro, recently named to an all-star reserve selection. We'll talk about that. They got Bam. And they got their rook Khalil Ware, who's looking mighty, mighty good. Spo inserted him into their starting lineup 6 games ago. So that they're a middling team. They're 24-23 coming into tonight, 4-6 in their last 10. Middle of the pack team offensively, just barely top 10 team defensively. Net rating, middle of the pack. This is a mid team that the Bulls are going to play tonight.
Yeah, a mid team, but a Eric Spoelstra coached mid team.
Dangerous.
And so that makes them a problem and an issue. Because again, they've dealing with all the turmoil and issues and things they're dealing with. I believe they're like the 6th seed right now in the East, if not like the 7th. Like Spoelstra is just an amazing coach. Like the way he gets those guys to focus on the task at hand and kind of block everything else out and focus on what's happening on the floor is just really tremendous. He gets the best out of his players. Whatever you give him, he's gonna make a meal out of it. Like doesn't matter what kind of scraps you give him, he's gonna make a meal out of it. And he's just really incredible. But that's not to talk down on Tyler Herro. That's not to talk down on Bam Adebayo or any of those guys like that, because they're really, really good. There's a reason Bam Adebayo has a gold medal. It's really Tyler Herro, like you said, is an all-star. So they have good players, but just overall team, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? A little sketchy. But they're going against this Bulls team who are not deep right now. They're deep in it, but they are not deep. So I'm interested to see one thing and one thing only, and that's Modest Buzelis. And hopefully he plays
30,
all of the minutes.
Give me 30 plus minutes of Modest tonight.
All of it.
Give them to me, Billy.
All of it, Billy. All of it. I'm very interested to see that and to see how Vooch plays. I'm curious how he comes out and what's his focus going to be like too.
I think that's a good point right there, you know. But listen, I like the fact that, you know, they're playing the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Why? For one of the reasons you talked about right there, Eric Spoelstra, but also because of the culture that the Heat have developed and the expectations. With all this drama with Jimmy Butler, they still have expectations every single night to go out and try to win the game.
That's why he's serving multiple suspensions right now.
So
rule of an iron fist.
Yeah. But, you know, but that starts with Pat Riley and it trickles down to Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
And that's their organization as a whole. So you know what their goal is tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. We've been talking about throughout the season, we're not 100% sure what lane or what the goal is or what we're trying to accomplish. You know, we kind of have a better idea, but we still don't know fully. Looking forward to seeing what happens between now and Thursday, but also hearing Arturas talk, right? And see exactly what he has to say as far as, you know, what the goal is moving forward after, you know, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time comes and goes. But guys better be ready to play tonight.
Yeah.
Because, you know, one thing about the Heat is you'll get the effort. You may not necessarily get the results, but they're always going to make you earn it. So where is Kobe's head now that he's playing with Zach for the first time?
Yeah.
And he's played plenty of games without Zach. But in the back of his head, he's always known that Zach was coming back at some point.
Right.
And one of the things I texted Peck today was, you know, when you were on it, Katie was on it, the thread, what do we want to talk about? And I'm like, all right, now that Zach is gone, it's not necessarily who does this benefit the most, but who does this have the ability to affect the most in a positive way?
Right. Who is in a position to perhaps seize the opportunity
Bingo.
in the most impactful way as far as their production and their role on this team compared to when Zach was here and now that he's not?
Well, who do you think, Mr. Peck?
I mean, I think the answer has to be Modest Buzelis because I think it has to mean, I don't care about if you're a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5.
Correct.
You're shifting in a new, younger direction. Zach LaVine's trade finally signals that. He's the 11th overall pick. He's looked pretty, rookie make mistakes from time to time kind of rookie, but also very, very exciting prospect when he's out
I
there
agree with
in
you,
limited minutes.
It's also, that's what, 20, how many points do they have to make up?
24
points, okay? So it's not just one individual. But I do agree to a certain extent what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from, okay?
Thank you.
But I do think you're kind of getting caught up in the moment of, you know, he is their draft pick, and that's who you really want to see because now he's the guy you're most excited about.
Well, it's that, and also, it's a bad team. You know what I mean? Like, who else am I supposed to be?
It's a bad team with some good individual players that aren't a good mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are you thinking that the answer could be I don't know Kobe White, because he's been.
I know the name he wants to say.
Okay, let me hear it.
Patrick Williams.
Man,
Damn it.
Who's the guy?
Ayo Dosunmu?
You thinking Ayo?
No, I'm going to give you a chance here. I'm going to try to. I want to lay it out
Running out
for
of
you.
players here, Will.
Yeah, seriously.
Who's the guy that they're going to re-sign, whether you like it or not?
Katie?
Josh Giddey.
Bingo.
Oh my God, he wasn't even in my head. Gross.
Will's
Okay.
very happy with himself right now. He's
Who?
like, I say you like, yeah.
I mean, not
Giddey.
necessarily, but we've, like a lot of players on this team, Josh Giddey throughout the season has taken us on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I like roller coasters. I wouldn't know if I would call that an apt comparison.
Yeah, but if there was a roller coaster right now by the name of Josh Giddey, would you jump in the front seat?
No,
Okay, then.
I would not.
But that's my point, okay? Because we talked about, and I still believe in him, because I told you guys this at Media Day, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is now his opportunity,
Yes.
okay?
Great point, Will.
He sees the game at a different level.
And I agree with you.
Now, what we haven't seen is the ability to take which is how he plays the game, how he sees the game, how he talks the game, and get it fully to B.
Yeah.
Meaning the execution aspect of being an all-star. Because I feel like there's something missing between A and B.
Yeah.
Okay? I think he's got the skill set. He's obviously got the handles, the acumen, the basketball IQ. Okay, maybe he's not very athletic. Okay? But we've seen plenty of guys that aren't athletic, that are non-athletic, but are basketball players.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Giddey is a basketball player. And maybe my expectations are a little high, but this is now an opportunity for him now to accelerate the learning curve of what we are thinking and what we are expecting.
Yeah.
Because to me now, for every single player across the board, it kind of opens up opportunities, but at the same time, the expectations that were up here for everybody across the board are now down here because we're not expecting this team to win. We kind of felt that was the approach they were taking. We kind of felt it was difficult to have that approach, but now we understand that's not an approach, okay? If you play well, then they can win. But there's so little room for error. And there used to be so little room before, but now it's like razor thin.
Yeah.
True. Okay? Because what happened against Detroit? Too many turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Too many points in the paint. It's pretty easy. That 2-2 was 4 that game.
Yes.
It wasn't like something obscure and you're like 2 + 2 is 5. And man, I never saw that coming. I didn't think of it. But my point about Giddey is that what we need to see is more consistent effort on the defensive end. The ability to continue to work on the three-point shot, okay? The ability to kind of pull the reins back a little bit on risk-reward, okay? And at the end of the day, I may be asking too much. But now, if you ask me, this will allow us to truly understand who Kobe White is, Ayo Dosunmu is, Patrick Williams, the potential of Modest Buzelis, and truly understand what Giddey is and where he is. And now I think we all will have the ability to assign what we think is a true value. Not a potential value of what he should sign for, but a true value, because that's a horse now I throw my saddle on and I ride him hard for the rest of the season to answer all those questions.
Yeah,
Like that?
yeah, sure.
Like that, Katie?
If there is any higher ceiling that we haven't seen yet from any of these players, with Zach gone, it'll be easier to find out if those exist and who they belong to.
Yeah.
Really quickly before we wrap up, as we approach tip-off time, I mentioned it earlier. Tyler Herro was, selected as an All-Star reserve for the East. Congratulations to him, first career All-Star selection. Just real quick, take a look at these numbers for me, would you please? Just shy of 24 points per game, 47 from the field. Not quite 40% from three.
I know where he's going.
86% from the free throw line. 5.5 boards.
Are we getting ready to put up somebody
5.5
else's
assists.
stats?
No, I didn't have Katie throw those because I can just tell them for you. 24 points per game, 51.1 from the field, 44.6 from three. Yeah, okay. He's a little lower, just shy of 80%. 79.9 from the free throw line. I don't know why Zach's having a tough free throw line here. And 4.8 and 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Zach LaVine was robbed. Robbed of an all-star selection. Winning teams and winning players get selected when it comes to reserves. The Heat have 24 wins. The Bulls have 21. Next.
Okay, you want me?
Zach LaVine was robbed.
Yes, he was. Throw another one. That's it.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah.
Don't break anything.
Want the bat? No.
Okay, keep the bat away from him.
Got you.
But this is why I think Vooch got robbed too. And
make that argument.
We talked about how Vooch had fallen off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why things need to change with this organization.
Come on, Will.
Okay?
right, exactly.
Because you just hit it on the head. The difference between 24 and 21. But correct me if I'm wrong, Zach numbers were better.
Extremely more efficient shooting, nearly identical points per game.
Okay.
Tyler Herro had a slight edge, a.k.a. by one.
So what was the difference in that selection? The perception of who the Miami Heat as an organization are?
Bam.
And the players that they develop?
Bam.
And the Chicago Bulls and the organization of where they are at the moment? And all the turmoil that they're dealing with?
That's a fact, Will.
Bars.
Yeah.
Bars.
Will spitting today, man.
We will.
Now, that can change.
Sure.
It can.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, Will.
But there's a reason why, and what I'm really surprised is he doesn't have a beverage next to him. There's a reason why Matt has those beverages during the games.
I forgot it over there. Yeah. Big surprise. The Bulls make me stress drink.
You need a 30-foot straw?
Oh.
Sam Adams light.
Brilliant idea.
Yes.
Just get you one of those.
Like a crazy straw?
No, those backpacks or whatever. You can just sit there.
Oh, one of those like camelback things that people take, like runners?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you would have that for camping.
Okay, so, true story. One of my friends, not me, but last year on our last summer our canoe trip, she had a camelback that she filled.
Oh man, you just threw her right under the bus.
Well, I didn't name her.
He didn't
name her.
It's true.
She had a camelback that she filled with hard seltzers instead of water.
Shout out.
Because you need two arms to paddle, right?
Yeah,
so if you're in the back of the canoe, and I was like, oh my God, you're a genius.
Yes.
I've been struggling to quickly set down my paddle, pick up my beer, drink it quickly without losing control of the back of the canoe.
She's just all
so
cool.
You know what I'm doing next year?
Yes, sir.
Beer camel pack, baby.
Gifts for Matt. He just told you. He put it on his list. Christmas gift.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes, it is.
Tip-off is just moments away, so we will leave it there. Hit the like button for our pregame show on your way out if you haven't done it yet, or we will send Katie after you. Join us right back here for
You
CHGO
should
Bulls.
send Dave with the bat, not me.
No.
That sounds like too violent of a
See,
threat.
here's the
suggestion.
I'm just going to make this very clear,
okay?
And I'm going to run like hell when I say this.
Please do.
Katie's ready.
The difference between Big Dave and a plastic bat is Katie ain't wasting no time with a plastic bat. She's just going to go straight up aluminum. I mean, and she will not be hitting singles and doubles.
No, she hits for power. She's hitting for power, sir. That's true.
Why play wiffle ball when you can do the real thing?
That's true. She's right.
One more time, hit that like button. We will see you right back here for CHGO Bulls post game after Bulls and Heat. Maybe, I don't know, talk about trades. Either way, we'll be here. See you right back.
Ding, ding, ding.
Bye. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.